Okay, so I'm going to show you the soap dough pieces for the remake of sewing. And I only have one left to make, one more pair of scissors. I had originally tried making them with my activated charcoal soap dough, but because it's more fresh, it was just so soft. And that's not a problem usually because you can mold it with a really soft soap dough and then pop the mold in the freezer for a minute, and then it'll unmold beautifully and look detailed, but then it's just really slow and time consuming. And I had this purple clay soap dough that's older and a little bit more firm, and it needs to be used up anyway, so I went ahead and just started doing them instead with the purple, and then that way I could just do them one right after the other. And then as you can see here, I have all the buttons and the little spools of thread, but they need to be cleaned up, and the spools of thread will need to be painted like these four are. And I like to take a toothpick and poke a hole in all of the buttons. So I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Just like with the scissors, they have overflow that needs to be like trimmed off. And I like to try to make the holes in the scissors stand out. So let's go ahead and mold the last pair of scissors. This is my mold that I use for sewing. And I also use it for the single-use soaps. And some of them are so cute, but I'll never be able to use them. Like the safety pin, because it's just too thin on that part there to unmold properly with soap. And the needle too, I'll never be able to do that, or the dressmaker's dummy, but that's okay. I've used all of the other ones. This is a thimble, and there's 2 spools of thread, the tape measure, and the sewing machine. And then I like to roll it together in my palms to kind of warm it back up again and make it more pliable. Let's move this a little more out of the way. And I start with the handles, because those are the hardest parts to get to unmold. And then I just kind of push it down towards the blades. And then, as I've shown you before with soap dough, you just either use your thumb or like this part of your palm and press it down as hard as you can until you don't feel it able to go down anymore. And then just carefully push the mold away. I always pull the mold away more than I actually touch this, because it makes it come out easier. But there you go. I have my oils and butters, which are always coconut oil, olive oil, shea butter, and cocoa butter, all extra virgin and all unrefined. And I have them mixed with the lye water solution. And I'm going to add in the essential oil blend, which is called Unwind, which I thought would be perfect for sewing. I wanted sewing to have its own signature scent, so if this works out, this will be its new scent. And it is a blend of balsam, geranium, lavender, eucalyptus, and clary sage. And it just smells really clean and relaxing. Alright, so I'm going to split off some to make a color. Bottom, just a little bit. Now, what's going to make this different from the last time I did sewing is that I have these pieces of soap dough, the blue from Indigo and the green from Spirulina, and I put them in between a big piece of plastic wrap and rolled them kind of thin, but not too thin. And I got the idea from my apothecary soap when I made the brown shelves. So I wanted to do that again this time to make it more look kind of like strips of fabric sewn together or like a quilt. So I'm going to put the blue piece in first, very carefully. Kind of try to float it on the top. Make sure it touches everything. Okay. Now the next layer is going to be what I've split off for the rose clay. So let's move that over. And I have some rose clay mixed with some olive oil. The third time I've remade sewing, but each time has been different, so I'll link all of the previous ones in there before. I'm a big sewer. I don't sew currently because my kids are too little, but when they get a little bit bigger, I'll be able to get back into that again, or if I get a house with a space to where I could have a separate room for crafting, like making soap and sewing, that would be nice, because then I could make sure that anything dangerous like pins and needles and stuff would never get a hold of those things. But until then, I can't wait to get back to it. I have a great interest in embroidery and crocheting too. My mom taught me how to do those things when I was little too. In my other videos, I talk more about my sewing experience and how I used to make clothes and make costumes for theater. So I'm excited to see how this one turned out. All right, cute. That's what I wanted it to look like, so that it looks like strips of fabric sewn together like quilting. And there's the top. They smell really good today. Really loving this whole set of blends that I got. They all turned out just perfect for soap. So I think this one will probably be the signature scent for sewing. I was thinking about winter time and how that's the time to relax indoors more and do indoor crafting and play cards and board games and read and all of those kind of indoor activities. So that's what I was thinking about for January. It's the perfect time to learn a craft too. So if you don't know how to sew or embroider or anything like that, or knit, crochet, and you have an interest, it's the perfect time to learn. Cozy up in a chair with a blanket on your lap and just work.